Hi there, I'm Judith Matz, and I am so excited about the free training that we're offering through PESI on September 26th and 27th on emotional eating and body image. We'll be looking at topics like chronic dieting, how to reduce body shame, weight stigma, myths about health and weight. And the reason I'm so excited about this is that because it's being offered for free, I think we're going to attract a lot of mental health professionals because let's face it, no matter what setting you work in, you absolutely work with people who struggle with these issues. We all have a relationship with food. We all have a relationship with our body. And so your clients, even if that's not the primary reason they're coming to you, many struggle with it, even if they don't bring that in initially. Or when they do bring it up, it's so important that you know ways to support them without causing harm. And of course, none of us go into this field to cause harm, but the reality is we all live in diet culture. We've all absorbed norms around diet culture, what's good and bad when it comes to food, what we think people should weigh. And so unless you are exposed to some frameworks that look at how to help people end the diet mindset, how to become a more weight inclusive therapist, you're likely to bring your own beliefs, your own attitudes into the clinical setting. I know I did. I know that when I started in this field, I really believed helping people be thinner was so important. And even if most people failed, if one or two succeeded, it was all worth it. And it wasn't until I saw the damage done by supporting diet behaviors, by focusing on thinness as an outcome of, as what was considered successful, that I realized that these frameworks were actually harming people. So I've done a lot of learning since then and unlearning, a lot of looking at the research, and I'm going to be sharing all of that with you during this 2-day event. I will have the first day to do that. So I thought what I would do today is just go over 3 common errors I see that therapists make. To just give you an idea of where some of the unlearning, it's a learning event, but it's really an unlearning event, where it's important to focus. So the first one is giving or supporting prescriptions for restrictive eating. So when we have a client come to us and say, hey, I want to lose weight, I'm on a diet, we might say, oh, terrific, you're sticking to it, or here are some strategies, to control. You want to eat that, don't eat it, do this instead. And it seems like we're helping people, again, everybody has their own ideas. Oh yes, cut out fat or cut out carbs. There's so many, what the newest, latest, and greatest is changes often. And for example, like I had one client came to me where she was told by her therapist to stop using butter in her cooking. And so she started to try to substitute things, and she noticed her binging get worse. Well, why is that? The role of deprivation is so important to understand. When we're told, well, think about this. Like if I say to you, starting tomorrow, you can never have ice cream again, what are you going to do tonight? If you're like most people, your response is, I'm going to go get some ice cream. And you're more likely to eat more than your body needs and have it whether you want it or not. And basically, that's what happens when people have restrictions around food. When they start a new diet, you'll hear people say it's my last supper, I'm going to eat everything. Or even I was working with a client recently where on the week, she stuck to her diet when she came to me. This was her way of dealing with things. And then on the weekend, anything goes. So it's like I restrict, and then I have this out of control eating. So one of the first things that it's important to help your clients understand is how deprivation actually triggers binge eating. And so we'll do a lot of work in unpacking that during the full day webinar, and looking at how to help your clients understand the diet cycle, that it always works in the short run. Not always, but most of the time, the restrictions people have for themselves, like I said, whether it's low fat, low carb, low cal, people will lose weight initially and they'll feel good initially. And yet approximately 95 to 98% of people will gain back the weight, and 2/3 will end up higher than their pre-diet weight, and they blame themselves. So we're going to spend time talking about why it is not your client's fault or your fault if you're a dieter, so that they can get off this diet cycle, this destructive diet cycle. For those of us who are therapists, the second error that often gets made is believing that understanding why somebody eats emotionally, like getting to the root causes and feelings, will end binge eating. I know that's what I believe. That's what I learned. I was trained as a psychodynamic therapist. And so my understanding was that if I could just help my clients understand why they're reaching for food when they're not hungry, the emotional eating would end. Well, by no means am I diminishing the importance of helping our clients understand emotional eating if that's true for them. Some people, it turns out, when they end the deprivation driven eating, actually, it turns out that they're not emotionally driven to eat, that really the deprivation in and of itself was leading to eating past fullness, eating to discomfort. But for many of our clients, of course, they have histories of trauma, they have anxiety, they have depression. And if you think about it, food is the earliest way we're soothed. Babies cry, a parent or a caregiver soothes them by offering the breast or bottle. And so it makes sense that in times of distress, people reach for food to soothe, to calm, distract, to numb. And that's what our work is to help our clients learn new strategies, build strategies that will help them find ways that feel better to manage emotional distress. But the thing is that when your clients are still subject to the diet mindset, all the understanding in the world doesn't end that deprivation driven eating. I remember one of my first clients, we did such nice work together and so much got better in her life. Everything changed but her relationship with food. It was before I was exposed to the frameworks that I'll be teaching. And it wasn't until I learned how to help her become what we call an attuned eater or an intuitive eater. And so in the course during the day, I'm going to spend a lot of the morning actually going over how to help your clients reconnect with signals for hunger, signals for satiation, and really important is figuring out when they're hungry what to eat. Like what happens if they let go of all the shoulds? I should eat this, I shouldn't eat that, this is good, this is bad, this is healthy, that's not healthy, and really listen to their bodies. And there are reasons some people won't be able to do that. And we'll talk about why some people might have challenges. But in general, with your clients, helping them figure out what satisfies them. And just take a moment now and think for yourself of a time you were hungry and you got what you were hungry for and how satisfying that feels. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about how to help clients identify physical hunger, what the signals are, how to do what I call make the match, how to stop when they feel satisfied. And the really neat thing is that when they do that, they're building a reliable internal structure. Instead of being dependent on all the new rules or the latest thing to eat or not eat, they really come to trust their body and experience satiation. And it strengthens them. They're less anxious around food. They start to feel better, and they're in a stronger place to work on whatever the emotional issues are, using, whatever kind of interventions you use. And when during the webinar, I'll be sure to share some more, some deeper stories of clients and the emotional issues they came to and how they were able to work their way through them, not just by good psychotherapy, but by becoming attuned eaters along the way. And the final mistake that therapists often make, and it's really understandable in our weight stigma diet culture, is assuming that weight loss will or should occur as a marker of successful recovery. If you actually look at the DSM criteria for binge eating disorder, it says nothing about weight. And it's really important to understand that people with disordered eating and binge eating disorder come in all shapes and sizes. In fact, one of the things I emphasize is that you really can't tell if somebody struggles in their relationship with food based on body size. There are people of all sizes who have eating disorders and disordered eating, but there are people at all sizes who don't, who actually have a healthy relationship with food. So we're going to talk about how to tell the difference. But it's really important then to help our clients, instead of focusing on losing the weight, to lose the shame. So we'll do a lot of talk about body image, about how to challenge some of the weight stigma and anti-fat bias in the culture, but also how to help clients integrate behaviors that support their physical and emotional well-being, regardless of whether they lose weight. So things like being physically active, getting a good night's sleep, practicing mindfulness, all of those things can be really positive behaviors for clients who are interested in those kinds of activities. And what we talk about is they support physical and emotional health regardless of whether weight is lost. So those are some of the main aspects of what I'll be talking about, or actually it's a hint of what I'll be talking about. The other thing I want to say, the reason I love doing this work, I've been doing this seminar for many years now through Pershing, and it's really awesome because they fill up with people, and they fill up with mental health professionals who are there to help their clients, absolutely, but also because so many are struggling themselves. Again, we have all grown up in this toxic culture that says you have to be thin to be worthy. There are right ways to eat and wrong ways to eat. So I also do some work during the course of the day at helping participants examine their own attitudes toward body size and becoming more aware of our own implicit bias, so that when we work with our clients who come to us, who are higher weight, and we can really be aware of what are our reactions, what are our assumptions, how can we support them in a way that leads to positive results rather than repeating the shame that they likely have experienced in other parts of their life. So you can hear I'm excited. I'm day one of the seminar. On day two, my colleagues Amy Pershing and Christy Harrison will be speaking. Amy will be talking in the morning about binge eating disorder and trauma. So again, if you treat trauma, you absolutely treat binge eating disorder, and Amy is an expert in this area. And in the afternoon, Christy will be talking about where nutrition fits in to these frameworks, and also the wellness industry, which overlaps with the diet industry. And so how to figure out what types of behaviors really support well-being and what types of recommendations actually really are more part of diet culture. So I hope you can join us. It's free. You've got nothing to lose. If you can't attend for the 2 days, you can sign up to receive the recording. It'll be out a couple weeks later, and you'll have it for 2 weeks, so you can watch it on your own time. And also, for those of you who want CEs, please be aware that for a small upgrade, you can get CEs for both days. I think it can equal about 12 CEs. And also that includes our workbook, the Emotional Eating, Chronic Dieting, Binge Eating, and Body Image Workbook. I know that's a mouthful, but we wanted to get it all in. And that workbook can be used with your clients, and each chapter has a page called Clinician's Corner that will guide you in using it in your practice. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope to see you at the end of September. If you're interested, you can use that QR code at the top, and there's a link in the bottom right corner, pessy.com/matsfree, that will also take you to the page to sign up for the training. So